to see you. Write for hours just to please you. You don't know how much I need you. 'Cause you're my home away from home, away from home, away from being alone. Run away from home, why don't you? 'Cause I did the same just for you. You don't know how much I love you.
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, well. Is that not the truth or what? It does not matter who the host is. Today's Thursday, April the 7th of 2022. I believe it is. Day 97th of the year, and only 268 days left to go. Anyways, I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods. Hopefully you had some fun times during the overnight of things as we get to hang and bang and do all that kind of fun stuff in the middle of the night. Wait, hold on. That was not the combination of words that I was supposed to be saying, but that's definitely what I just said. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do stuff at.
Radio.
Oh, yes, hanging out with our friends at RadioBig.fm because, that's always important. So let's start talking because if you were hanging out on the overnight, there were some things hanging around, some things going about, some things that were happening that you were probably going, oh my. And let's start talking right away. Trending last night, Joe Rogan was trending on Wednesday after several sources claimed that the controversial podcaster had died. Yeah. There's several sources who were saying that. Now, just to be clear, he is not dead, but there were a lot of rumors circulating that he had died. No, he is not dead, so just FYI. Anyways, also hashtag Dr. Strange landed in Twitter's top 10 trends as Marvel fans started the 1-month countdown until Doctor Strange. And let's see, the Multiverse of Madness hits theaters. So there you go. That was hitting the sequences of events as well. Also, hashtag on National Student Athletes Day, schools, coaches, and teammates celebrated students, athletes calling out their hard work and dedication to not only their sport, but also the education to what they do, and of course what they do for the community. Some on Twitter celebrated the International Asexuality Day on Wednesday. Tweets included messages of positivity and support. And Stephen King was trending yesterday because fans of his books wanted to share how much they love him. Oh, that's so special, is it not? Okay, so there you go. That's some stuff that's hanging out. So here, let's kind of talk about this. In regards of some sequencing, this way we can get it out of the way in regards of what is going on. So if you have not hung out with the show before, here's how it goes. We talk about safety in the news and safety and all that kind of fun stuff. So don't worry about that. We will talk a little bit more about everything that is going on. We'll bring in some professional broadcasters. They'll talk about what is going on as well. Also, if you want to interact with the show, the easiest way of doing it is to go to callinradio.com. That is callinradio.com. That will get you through. Sometimes some of the socials work properly. Sometimes they don't. So I don't want to have you hang out over there and I see absolutely nothing about it. So there you go. So callinradio.com will get you moving and grooving. Yesterday, just for the sake of referencing a video of a referee being violently attacked following a youth basketball tournament in Stronghold Christian Church in Georgia was gone viral. The ref was rushed to the hospital after suffering serious injuries, reportedly having to get about 30 stitches. Now I want to make reference to this. There is a pretty graphic video out there that you can watch in regards of it. The incident happened last week and no word if any consequences on those who attacked him. So just want to make sure that we bring that up. So outside of that, that's what I got for you. So let's do this to get it started, to get it moving, to get it grooving. Let's go ahead and bring in some people that know about broadcasting and professional news development. So they'll talk about what is going on there. And then we will continue to talk as we do here.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. The number of alleged Russian war crimes being investigated in Ukraine is now up to 4,800, and it could go higher. The mayor of the hardest-hit city says more than 5,000 civilians have been killed since Russia invaded, leaving Mariupol in ashes. NBC's Raf Sanchez in Ukraine.
Part of the reason the Russians are so reluctant to allow the International Red Cross and other humanitarian groups into Mariupol is they don't want the world to see what they have done there. One of the allegations from Mariupol City Council is that the Russians are operating a mobile crematorium to burn the bodies of civilians they've killed and cover up evidence of alleged war crimes.
Ukraine is calling on the West to impose a full oil and gas embargo on Russia. Ukraine's foreign minister will address the European Union and NATO's 30 allies in a special session today to maintain international support during the Russian invasion. Tornadoes tore through the south yesterday, leaving a devastating path of destruction. Morgan Chesky is in South Carolina.
Look at this thing go! In Leslie, Georgia, funnels form as the massive system continues to move south. Nearby in Black Creek, Georgia, stunning video capturing a fast-moving twister tearing through Bryan County, where officials say one woman died.
Another storm is threatening to hammer the south with powerful winds and possibly more tornadoes today. Bill Cairns with more.
13 million people at risk. The busy I-4 corridor from Tampa to Orlando to Daytona Beach is under threat today. And also our friends from Wilmington to Virginia Beach and Norfolk. Wind damage the biggest threat today. We do not expect many tornadoes.
The coasts of Virginia, North Carolina, and parts of Florida are in the storm's crosshairs today. Health experts are working on a long-term strategy to protect the nation from coronavirus. FDA advisors met yesterday to talk about when and how often more shots might be needed, even a possible new vaccine. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
He's the man. It's awesome, funny, random, doesn't make any sense, but it's good.
Jay Allen in the morning on Radio.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. NATO and G7 foreign ministers are meeting in Brussels to discuss toughening sanctions on Russia and more military support for Ukraine. The Pentagon says Russian forces have now completely withdrawn from Kiev and Chernihiv. Shanghai's added close to 20,000 COVID-19 cases, marking the 6th day in a row for record infections. And Britain's new energy strategy involves a major stepping up of the development of nuclear power.
Safety never sounded so terrible.
Rated R Safety Show.
A Utah student directly affected by a law banning transgender athletes from school sports is speaking out against the measure.
I'm non-binary, and I'm proud of that. And going to these meets, knowing that I'm trans, knowing that I'm non-binary, it's kind of just getting told over and over, you don't belong.
Danny Malaleu is part of West High School's volleyball and track teams. Malaleu spoke to hundreds of other students who staged a walkout at the Salt Lake City High School yesterday. Students chanted and waved signs, applauding speakers as they criticized lawmakers for overriding the Republican governor's veto of House Bill 11. Organizers hope the rally sends a message that the fight over transgender rights matters to students and that they are not done fighting for change. Former President Barack Obama is warning the public about the weaponization proliferation of disinformation across the world. Speaking yesterday at the University of Chicago Institute of Politics, Obama discussed his concerns about the loss of local journalism and social media companies making profits off of conflict.
The growth of social media and technology, whose product design monetizes anger, resentment, conflict, division.
The former president believes platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube should be more transparent about how they're monitoring content that's leading to violence. A California woman is millions of dollars richer after someone accidentally bumped her at the grocery store. Mark Mayfield with a story.
LaQuindra Edwards told state lottery officials she was in the process of buying a lottery ticket at a Tarzana grocery store when somebody bumped into her and made her select the wrong ticket. Well, that accidental ticket ended up being a $10 million winner. Edwards says she's planning to buy a house and start a nonprofit with her winnings.
It's time to play ball. Baseball fans waited an extra week for opening day, and now it's here. 14 of the MLB teams will take the field today. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things as mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You are listening to a renowned safety expert, Dr. Jay Allen, on Safety FM. Changing safety cultures, one broadcast and one podcast at a time. Join the fun on social media and find us on Facebook at Safety FM.
Okay, there you go. Sure, whatever you said. So there you go. 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging and banging on this lovely Thursday. So are you already planning out what the weekend's going to look like? Do you already have that whole thing going on and all that kind of fun stuff? No problemo there. So hopefully, you have something cool planned out as we are talking. So let's start getting into this. I think that because it was such a big thing yesterday, we're going to jump directly to it, and then we'll just kind of go into some other things. Joe Rogan is alive and well, despite some of the sources claiming otherwise. A 54-year-old podcaster was trending Wednesday after news that his alleged death circulated on social media. The death hoax even contained false statement from UFC President Dana White that claimed that he was grieving for Rogan's family. Rogan took to Twitter himself to clarify that he, in fact, had not died. So let's just make sure. Maybe he was just replaced with a simulation. Maybe that's a whole other conversation to have there. Don't worry, not trying to confuse anybody. So here you go. Let's talk about it, taking it from the very top of the list of what was going on. Add bears and lions to the threat of facing the Ukrainians. A rep for Feldman Epco Park in Ukraine says that Russia is shelling attacks, mostly has killed animals in a house there. But some larger animals remain alive, unable to continue to maintain the facility. Zookeepers now face the complicated task of deciding whether or not to euthanize the animals, but also face concerns of zoo and staff dying and being unable to take care of them. If their cages are destroyed from the shellings, the surviving animals could break free and be on the prowl for food. Officials are desperate to get help from any organizers that is able to safely take care of the animals as long as they're able to remain alive. So think about that. So besides everything else that is going on, now let's add some bears and lions on top of this on what could potentially happen in your area. Boy, does that sound like a whole cluster freak of time in regards of what is going on. I mean, think about that real quick. Anyways, the New England Journal of Medicine reports that the fourth COVID booster efficacy wanes quickly, especially compared to the third shot at the same point in time. A study shows that even stronger protection against severe illnesses. However, the participants were also at least 60 years old. So reports of the booster efficiency wanes quickly. So what does that mean? It means that it can go bye-bye quicker. So some things to think about as we are talking. So there you go. Anyways, the Los Angeles Times reports that the gang violence was likely behind the deadly shooting early Sunday morning. Meanwhile, one of the main suspects in the case was reportedly out early on a 10-year sentence for violently assaulting his girlfriend. Prosecutors protested the early release on the grounds that he posed a significant unreasonable risk of safety to the community, the New York Post reports. So it kind of makes you start wondering about early release on certain scenarios. I mean, if they say they're a dangerous risk to society, maybe it's something to start considering.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay. So I think, we're far enough into this thing that it's time to bring in some Smalls of John or Johnny Smalls or something of Smalls and John, and we'll get that rolling to you right now. This one's called The Market Beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, April 7th, 2022. Equities deepened their sell-off Wednesday, both in anticipation and because of the FOMC meeting minutes released Wednesday afternoon. The minutes confirmed what the market was already expecting, which is the committee is considering a series of 50 basis point interest rate increases, as well as the onset of balance sheet reduction. The committee sees a $95 billion per month reduction, which would shrink the balance sheet by about $1 trillion within the first 12 months. The news is a bit weaker than expected, but with the pace of inflation what it is, the pace is likely to accelerate over the next few meetings. The S&P 500 fell more than 1% on the news, but found support at the short-term moving average. If this level is able to hold, the index is likely to make a move up to retest all-time highs for resistance. If not, this market will most likely head down to retest support at the recent lows near 4150. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for that one. And yes, thank you for the information right away. Yes, I am fully aware that the wrong graphic was up. Hey, guess what? Welcome to live, live interaction. That's the way that it goes from time to time. If that's the worst thing that happens all day, we're having a good day. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of this world of ours. The first completely private mission to the International Space Station is scheduled to blast off on Friday. The company called Axiom Space in Houston arranged the mission, which will fly on the SpaceX rocket and include 3 paying space tourists alongside a former NASA astronaut in the pilot seat. The group will stay on board of the ISS for 8 days. Okay, so let's talk about this. So you got 3 passengers that have, well, it doesn't say what they have done, but it says 3 paying passengers that are going to the ISS. So this is much different than the other stuff that you've seen or heard of, going out to the atmosphere and then coming back down and blah, 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 doing a few minutes up, and then we're talking 8 days. So how the hell how prepared do you know that these people are for 8 days? I mean, this is going to be definitely a test. You remember that those old things of like test your might. That definitely would fall into that category for sure. I mean, think about that. Think about how some of these astronauts prep for such a long period of time, and all of a sudden you're turning around and saying, "Okay, we're going to send you up to the ISS for 8 days. Let's give it a test." Duh. I mean, how is that going to work out for some? I mean, that's going to be something to think about. Just give it.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, there's a fox on the loose in Capitol Hill. We spoke about this yesterday. A representative from California was even bitten by one on Monday before fending it off with an umbrella. He's also a doctor, so consulted with a physician on site and began treatment for rabies as a precautionary measure. Capitol Hill police say that a few fox sightings have been reported in the recent days, and animal control is checking this out. So, I mean, how the hell is this even a thing? Like, someone needs to tell me what is going on. I mean, I don't know. I'm slightly confused by it. So anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of this. Let's talk about it. Ukraine presses NATO for more firepower. Firepower to fight the invading Russian forces. Mark Mayfield has more information.
NATO foreign ministers are meeting for a second day today, and Ukraine's foreign minister said the reason he flew to Brussels for the meeting is weapons, weapons, weapons. The Europeans are also discussing a ban on Russian coal. Later today in New York, the UN General Assembly is scheduled to vote on expelling Russia from the UN Human Rights Council over the gruesome killings in Bucha near the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield, for that one, for letting us know what exactly is going on. So definitely some things to think about as we are talking and moving and grooving. Anyways, let's continue here. Accused wife killer linked to the disappearance of 2 more women. 3 South Florida victims are being tied to an accused JCC shooter, Carl Watts. Natalia Rodriguez has more information.
The 45-year-old is being held with no bond on second-degree murder charges after police say he shot and killed his wife this week at a North Miami JCC. In addition, he's now being investigated in connection to the disappearance of 2 women, both whom he had a relationship with. 25-year-old Vicky Simmons, a North Miami Beach mother of 2, was found murdered days after vanishing in February 2009. Her family's still desperate for answers.
Where is she? What did you do to her?
24-year-old Traquita Scott, mother of Carl's son, was last seen in Fort Lauderdale on June 25, 2014. Fort Lauderdale police officially call Watts now a person of interest in this case. Natalie Rodriguez, Miami.
Okay, thank you, Natalie, for that one, letting us know what is going on. Interesting, side notes in regards of everything that's happening. So now, person of interest, it'll be even more interesting as we are moving forward with it to find out what is going on. Anyways, we're going to need to talk about this real quick. Cook Sheriff announces anti-carjacking legislation. So in Springfield, Illinois, the Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart is publishing an anti-carjacking legislation. Dart was in Springfield yesterday to announce the bill that would require auto manufacturers to create a 24/7 recovery hotline to help law enforcement quickly track stolen vehicles.
This can be done. This is easy. Virtually every car since 2015 has tracking capability in it. And so the question then is if it can be tracked, why is it not being tracked?
Under the legislation, law enforcement can obtain this information if the owner contests when a vehicle has been carjacked or is being used in the commission in other violent crimes. Cook County experienced more than 2,000 carjackings in the last 12 months, and carjacking rose by 38% from 2020 to 2021. So hold on, you're telling me the carjackings rose from when people were locked up to when people weren't locked up? Gee, let's kind of figure out some of the math there. But in all seriousness, as I do kind of talk about this, how do you think that this will work in regards of that? Because let's just talk about this. LoJack has been a thing for a while, and there's been some other services that are available, such as the OnStars of the world and so on. Is this something that you would see a benefit for in regards of what can be done? Because that's the thing. If these other service providers have had this for quite some time, what do you think will occur next? Do you think this will be something that can move forward? I don't know. Anyways, let's continue talking. A man in Utah is being cited after he drove a truck into a home. Driver watching YouTube videos crashing through a home. Take a listen to what Mark Mayfield has to say.
Police say the incident happened Tuesday evening when the driver, who was watching a YouTube video on his cell phone, failed to navigate a turn. The truck crossed over the lawn of one home, then barreled into the second house, smashing through the garage wall. No one inside the house was injured, but the truck driver was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. I'm Mark Mayfield.
I just don't understand why it went so specific that he was watching YouTube, because does that play a factor into it? Because he could have been watching whatever thing on the planet. Maybe it was more along the lines that the guy was using his cell phone or watching something while he was driving. Maybe that's something to reconsider on how that actually worked. Anyways, let's talk about this because I talk about Utah quite often. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Final ridership numbers for Free Fare February were announced. The Utah Transit Authority says the Free Fare February brought more riders onto the Utah buses and trains. Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mandel says that the signs that the state should consider expanding the program.
It shows how very much built up potential there is for us to do this in a bigger way.
The UTA announced yesterday that ridership increased by 16% on weekdays, 58% on Saturdays, and 33% on Sundays. The agency says that 5 riders in February were new to the system. A spokesperson says that UTA still needs to determine if those new riders use the transit system after the free fare promotion ended. Mayor Aaron says the cost continues offering free fares that would be an offset by savings of other related transportation.
The more people we can get out of their single occupant vehicles, the better our air quality is, the better our traffic congestion, road repairs, and there's a tremendous effect even at a neighborhood level.
So there you go, some things to think about. The reason that I talk about some of this stuff, because here's what you're going to have to think about. This is probably going to be something similar that you will see in other portions of the U.S., and they will try these transit systems. And let me just kind of explain this to you. These transit systems have a huge impact inside of your local communities. Also, if you've never been involved with transit, and I'm talking like the bus operation side of the world or train operation, they are several millions, it seems like, moving parts that are going on. But some of the safety platforms that they use inside of there are perfect or perfection on how they actually work. It's one of these things that you get to take a look at and really be surprised on how well of an oiled machine that thing is as it is moving forward. Anyways, let's continue talking real quick about the Senate approves reviving World War II era program to send weapons to the Ukraine. President Biden is one step closer to sending more military equipment to Ukraine even faster. Mark Mayfield has more information.
The Senate passed legislation last night to revive a program last used in World War II. The measure now heads to the House. If it passes, the U.S. would be able to bypass hurdles and quickly resupply the country as it fights Russia, going on for 7 weeks now. This is viewed as a sign Western nations believe Ukraine can win the war. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for that one and letting us know what is going on inside of there. Anyways, I think it's far enough across that we should go ahead and do that thing that we do right around this time that we call our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so taking it from the top, taking it and talking about it and doing everything that we need to do. It is time to talk about the lovely scenario of our world, the lovely scenario of our biz, the lovely scenario that we do inside of here, the lovely scenarios of everything that is going on. So let's talk about this right away. Let's talk about what we've titled this thing today, because that might be important for some. The truth about the industry. That's what the titling was. So if you're listening on the podcast format, well, you definitely saw that. And if you saw the different things on the social media platforms, you probably realize that. If you're listening on the radio, you have no idea. All it says is Jay Allen in the morning, as we come across. And that's fine. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about the reality that is our lovely industry. And if any of this sounds familiar, you can just sit there and not say amen, because that would be kind of weird, because then I would feel like I was in church. But you can sit there and agree or disagree, or, your story might be similar, or it could be entirely different. Here's the thing, though. Most of the times, the journey of this safety world of ours that we start doing, it is very rare, even though it is becoming now a little bit more common, but it is rare if you have been doing this for years and years on end to meet someone who actually started in the industry because they wanted to be in safety. Most of the times, the conversation starts off like this. Hey, we need somebody for the safety department. We see that you are not excelling at X, so we would like to move you there to see if you can excel. It's normally kind of how it goes. And I know people get pissed off about that. Or you're devaluing what we do. You're devaluing that. Or you're devaluing what we do as work for what you're saying. And that's not the case. What I'm saying is this is how this normally occurs. I remember going to a place one time that they were interviewing people, and they said you could be a mediocre supervisor at this place, but an excellent manager if you went over here, which was mind-boggling to me. But as we talk, by the way, hi, Jerry Collum, how are you? You're the one that told me that. How are you? So anyways, outside of that, the interesting part is that this is how this occurs, and some people get pissed off about it. Now, we're seeing some transitions inside of the industry where people are actually going to school for this, so it makes it slightly different. But that's how this path starts going. And then the next thing that occurs is that nobody really trains you. They just want you to kind of figure it out. It's go figure out what needs to be done inside of the safety department. Go figure out what needs to happen because things are not going well. We need to be safer. Not explain how to be safer, even though that could be a whole other discussion at some other point. But they tell you to be safer, care more. I would like for you to tell somebody who lays their life on the line every day to be safer and explain to them how to do that. But that's a whole other story. But as you're thinking about this and as we are discussing this, what we need to do is have these discussions of how this industry works. So the unfortunate portion, or fortunate depending on how you look at it, it is people starting to then copy other platforms that they see. So they see other safety programs that are out there and they're not sure how to run theirs. So it's copy and repurpose, copy and repurpose, copy and repurpose. And am I saying that's wrong? No. Am I saying that that's right? No. But if you have no general consensus on what needs to be done, that's sometimes what needs to happen. Now, the fortunate or unfortunate portion, depending on how you want to take a look at it, is that sometimes those things work and sometimes they do not. That is the good, bad, and the ugly of the whole thing. Now, the other portion here, as we're talking about it, though, is when we start doing the copying and repeating and we're doing the same things that others are doing, sometimes we see similar failures that other people have. So if they are not successful in X, Y, or Z side of the house, that's normally what will occur with yours as well. The unfortunate portion, as you move forward, you will start to meet a whole bunch of interesting individuals that will try to tell you how to do things right or correct from their particular format, but does not necessarily mean that it will work exactly how it needs to be done inside of your environment. So what happens next? Then you start making some questions and having questions on what needs to be done, which is a good thing because, you know, the worst thing for a question is an answer, which is always great. But what you have to look at is, as you move forward through this, is you have to question everything. I will tell you, I have gained more knowledge in regards of the world of safety when it came, well, at least when I was coming up and trying to learn all these things, keeping in mind that I was actually heavily involved inside of transit and I was heavily involved in transportation. But the Transit Safety Institute, also known as TSI, was one of the larger impacts that had, was one of the things that had the largest impact on my life in regards to being able to go out there and really learn and develop some content in regards of what needed to be done. And of course, that's not involving the college days, quote unquote, but Transit Safety Institute really helped out in regards of what I was doing because I was able to find a school. I was able to find a mechanism, and I won't say it a school. I was able to find an institute that really had some heavy focuses on some of these things. Is that the right thing for you? I don't know. So when you start getting involved and you see the problem within the industry, you have to look forward on what you can do to solve some of these problems. Because if you continue to do the same thing that you were always doing, well, and you didn't know what you were doing in the first place, there's probably going to be a high level of failure. Now, I will tell you, if you met me day one when I got into safety to where I am at now, you will know that I was a total asshole or a dick, depending on how you want to take a look at it, towards people when it came to stuff because I was not sure on how to manage. It was more that threat approach of, hey, this needs to be done in this format, not truly understanding on what needed to be done. It was more of, we will force safety to people, and that is just a terrible idea because that's just not really how it works. I remember when we decided to put cameras inside of our vehicles, I didn't want to call them camera. I called them behavior modification devices. Behavior modification devices. Because we put cameras inside of the vehicles where we could track exactly what was going on where the failures were occurring, and they beeped, they flashed, and they made sounds because why not distract people while they're trying to drive, because that made a lot of logical sense at the time. But here's the thing. When it comes to this industry, currently, things have improved over the last few years. But in the time that I started, it was much more difficult in regard of getting knowledge on what needed to be done. Now, the portion is that you will get to learn from people, you will get to meet people, and sometimes people are not who they say they are. That's the unfortunate portion. The other side of the equation is this. You can't always take everybody by their word. To me, inside of this world, our word is our bond. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I have been able to interact with some people that were here at Safety FM that I could never trust, not knowing that at the time. And looking back now, I go, wow, hindsight's always 20/20, even though 20/20 should probably never be mentioned in any conversation. But if your word is your bond, how can you actually do the things that you go out there and do? Like, it's amazing to me going out there and seeing people that are teaching trust, leadership, and management that are not trustworthy, don't know how to be a leader, and definitely don't know how to manage. So that's the thing. When you decide to follow and find content that you want to work with, that you think that is going to be something that's established, I would say look at the track record of the people that are either teaching it or where it's actually coming from. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that's the truth about portions of our industry. I'm sure we could go a hell of a lot longer, but I have time management issues that I have to interact with. Anyways, but what do I know? Just a guy behind a microphone.
Oops! Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets, and they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants. Okay, there you go. 43 minutes past the top of the hour. This one's called Train Ride. Songs readily available on Spotify and iTunes. This one's by Alex Kim. Thanks for Alex for allowing us to play this one here on the Rated R Safety Show. So there you go. Currently 44 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Thursday. Yeah, that's Thursday for you. Anyways, let's continue talking about some important stuff. As you know, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this over and over and over and over, and I will say this until nobody wants to hear me say it anymore, but I will probably even say it then one more time. I need to tell you the most important thing that I'm ever going to tell you. And this is about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experiences from people in your local community whose lives have been impacted by suicide or depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to afsp.org. That is afsp.org, or call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741. Seriously, you never know when you're going to need this information. You never know what might be the time that someone needs your assistance with this. So it is crucial to be able to go out there and be able to provide this information. And the interesting part about this is the person that might need this information could even be you. Let's get the stigma away from this conversation, because it's at the point in life that we understand that people sometimes feel suicidal. We understand that people at some portion feel like they're depressed, and we need to be able to talk about these things. Listen, not everything's happy-go-lucky. And here's the fun part to talk about with this. We live in this world where, we want to talk about how everything is perfect. It's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, wishful thinking that things that are perfect. But if you take a look around sometimes and listen and notice some of the people that either are depressed or are suicidal or that have committed suicide, sometimes, and I mean sometimes, they appear to be some of the happiest people you know. Think about that for a moment. So there has to be a level of fear of not having the discussion because of what they believe the people around them perceive of them. Imagine we can change that conversation and be honest about what's going on. Seriously, something to think about. If you give it any consideration, like I said, think about that, read the news stories. All you have to do is go to afsp.org. That is afsp.org. Let's continue talking a little bit more about some other things. It is 46 minutes past the top of the hour, and we got a lot to cover and very little time to do so. Sometimes I wonder if I go longer, how long will people hang? So that's always an interesting one to me in regards of how we do our stuff. Anyways, my peeps, how would you like to be able to design your own marshmallow chicks for Easter? Well, Peeps in the company says this year you can. The brand recently announced My Peeps. The marshmallow chicks can be customized to look and taste however customers want. This includes colors, yellow, pink, or blue, chocolate dips. On toppings, chocolate options include dark milk and white chocolate dip, and that will sit on the bottom of the chick, plus a round of confetti sprinkles and non-parallel sprinkles, crushed cookies, crushed pretzels, chocolate chips, toasted coconut toppings. The personalized Peeps are selling for $29.95 for 2 boxes of 6 and are available at peepsandcompany.com. Let's see. Should we talk about some of the rejected flavors? I think we could do that. If that sounded like product placement, it was or it will be. I'll be placing this product in my mouth as soon as I get my hands on it. That is such not a true statement. And I never understood the attraction of marshmallow candies at Easter to be just like, just to be a valuable room that there is, some chocolate inside of there. I will tell you, my daughter loves Peeps, and I think that they are quite not good. Quite not good. Just my opinion. If I'm being honest here. Some things to think about for sure. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things because this is what's going on. Everyone knows the unique pain that it is wasting valuable hours of your life scrolling aimlessly through Netflix, hundreds of thousands of different categories, trying to find the perfect thing to watch. And by the time that you find something that looks interesting, both you and the persons that you're chilling are tired and cranky. Well, the streaming service has added an incredibly useful category thanks to Saturday Night Live sketch over the weekend that shows a skit featuring Pete Davidson's Chris Redd, Gunna, and Simon Rex singing the praise of short-ass movies, such as Austin Powers, Bambi, and most films in the Ernest franchise. And it looks like Netflix took a hint because shortly after, Netflix tweeted a link of short-ass movies collection made up exclusively of movies that clock in at 90 minutes or less, not including credits. So there you go. If you're looking for some short-ass movies, I guess you can find that now on Netflix if you're so inclined to do so. So that is some info to watch some short-ass movies. But if you're doing the Netflix and chill thing, is the short-ass movie really what you're looking for?
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
I don't know. After a comment like that, maybe we just go directly into the Motivation Minute. So let's bring in John Smalls once again.
Of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Jim. Mary Kay said, "Never rest on your laurels. Nothing wilts faster than a laurel sat upon." I love that. I worked with a guy who never had 2 good months back to back. He was in one of 2 modes, kicking major tail to make things better than last month, or sitting back and enjoying the success he had last month. The weirdest thing was, he didn't realize he was doing that. I remember a manager having a pretty straightforward conversation to let him know. At first, he argued a little bit. Then he finally laughed and said, "Okay, I do that, but how do I fix it?" He eventually did fix it. Then he nailed it. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. We live in very interesting times when substances that used to be illegal and frowned upon are now integrated into science and given a chance to treat certain conditions. On that note, psilocybin was found to have potential long-lasting antidepressant effects. Psilocybin is a psychoactive compound derived from certain types of mushrooms. It elicits an array of psychedelic effects on the brain, including auditory and visual hallucinations. They arise from reduced activity in the thalamus, an area of the brain responsible for sensory input. Research suggests that this compound fosters the formation of new, lasting connections in the brain, bolstering synaptic density. This is important because people with depression often have low synaptic density. It is always fascinating to see where science takes us next and what treatments may significantly improve people's lives. For more, check out AlessaMorgan.com.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. What a combination of stuff there. I got so much to say, but so little time to do so. That it would probably not be a good idea for me to comment. What? Yes, you did hear me correctly. Anyways, let's get into this real quick. Santa Ana police officers blast Disney music to deter recording. A new video shows Santa Ana, California police officers blasting Disney music from their squad car, apparently to deter YouTubers from recording them. That is according, well, just take a listen.
In the video taken late Monday night, Santa Ana City Councilman Jonathan Hernandez asks an officer why they're playing the music. The officer said, quote, "because they get copyright infringement." The YouTuber behind the camera has a channel devoted to recording Santa Ana police officers at crime scenes and traffic stops. The man thinks the officers were trying to keep him from posting the video for fear he'd get a copyright strike. Daniel Martindale, NBC News Radio.
Well, the truth is they would get a copyright strike, so I mean, I guess we have to chalk one up for the police on that one. Something to think about for sure. Anyways, let's talk about this Corona update. A nasal spray that blocks COVID-19 infection that treats those who already are sick could be available within the next 6 months, say researchers at Cornell University. They have discovered a small molecule that people can spray into their nose that prevents COVID from infecting human cells. The spray would protect against the infection of healthy individuals if used within 12 hours of exposure to COVID. For those who become infected, the nasal spray treatment would only require a few daily doses. After experiencing a nose swab, I thought that we would that we could agree that those would be trying to move away from anything that the honker related when it comes to COVID-19. This almost sounds like the Plan B pill to an extent, if you really give it some consideration. Anyways, your risk of ending up in the hospital with COVID-19 may literally be in your own hands. Researchers at Swansea University found that the people with short baby fingers, in comparison to those with long digits, end up suffering more of severe cases of COVID-19. And those who have larger size differences between the fingers and their left and right hands are at a greater risk. Fingers length is associated to the testosterone and estrogen levels. This also is the thought factor when it comes to how severe one's COVID infection. Thanks for the tip. Oh, God. Is that a good or a bad thing? I'm not even sure anymore. Now I'm scared. Anyway, so some things to think about. It is 55 minutes past the top of the hour, and I think we need to start moving quick. So let's talk about it real quick. Let's see. You're looking at something that happened back on this date. Back in 2013, NASA announces plans to capture an asteroid and install it into orbit near the moon to later observation and study in 2019 with a close-up human examination for 2 years. The ultimate goal is to gain better understanding of asteroids in case one is ever headed towards Earth on a collision course. Didn't you just watch Armageddon? Didn't that kind of answer those questions? Anyways, let's talk about some birthdays. Nick Santos turns 43, John Cooper 47, Tiki Barber 47, Mackenzie Scott 52, Russell Crowe 58, Jackie Chan 68, John Oates 74, Francis Ford Coppola turns 83, and Jerry Brown turns 84 today. If you're looking at some reasons to celebrate today, I got some of those for you. National Coffee Cake Day, National Girl Me Too Day, National No Housework Day. I think I celebrate that all the time. National Burrito Day, National Alcohol Screening Day, and last but not least, National Beer Day. National Beer Day. Yeah. Broken Skull Lager. I would probably recommend that to you because I'm a Stone Cold fan. So there you go. That's what's going on that side over there. What else do we have? What else? Can I give you real quick as we are getting you out of here? Anyways, if you need some whack facts for today, I got some of those. Since the 1970s, the width of the standard casket has grown from 22 inches to 28 inches. During the gold rush in 1849, some people paid as much as $100 for a glass of water. The only muscle that never tires is the heart. If you are over 100 years of age, there is an 80% chance that you're a woman. If you walked for 12 hours a day, it would take you an average of 690 days to walk around the world. In a blind smell test, mothers rated their own baby's diaper as the least smelly. So there you go. That sounds like a load of shit to me, for sure.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, if you need a random joke for today, I got one for you. You know what they say, if you don't have anything nice to say about anybody, come sit with me. If you need a phone starter for today, try this one. Which Hollywood couple do you think is the most likely to still be married in a decade? Which definitely isn't? Good question. If you need something for the water cooler, try this one. Health experts say that these should be washed at least 2 to 3 times a year, although most of us don't come close at all. What is that? It's actually your pillow. Think about that. Go clean that dirty pillow of yours. Seriously. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show exclusively on Radio Big and Safety FM. Thank you for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener. Without you, we cannot do what we do around here, and Safety FM is the home of real safety talk. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I will be going over to Radio Big exclusively, which runs 24/7. You can listen to us now on TuneIn Radio. Now, the cool thing about TuneIn Radio is that you can rewind the app if you are so inclined to do so. Go back, go forward. It's all kinds of fun that you get to do if you want to do it. Anyways, come over to TuneIn Radio. Take a listen to us on radiobig.fm, and we can go from there. Anyways, if I can leave you with a thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. Always be a first-rate version of yourself rather than a second-rate version of someone else. Think about it. There you go. Anyways, I know who you are. No, seriously, I really do.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.